Oh.
Mr. Gwyn.
No. Who's there?
Oh, Mr. Gwyn.
Who is it?
Oh, you're burning up.
Oh. Please don't leave me.
I'm here now.
Oh. Damn it, I was doing so good. No. Don't go. Please don't go.
Oh, Mr. Gwyn. It's okay, Mr. Gwyn.
Oh.
Just relax.
Oh. Oh, don't go.
Let me change this for you.
Please.
Do you feel cared for?
Yes. This is so nice. We're going to do the whole thing in one take with no laughing.
That's not gonna happen.
Oh. Oh.
Mr. Gwyn.
Oh.
Oh, Mr. Gwyn.
Oh. Don't go. Don't leave me.
You're burning up.
Please. Oh.
I won't leave. I'm here.
Oh.
Just try to relax, Mr. Gwyn. Relax.
Who is it?
This is Nurse Woods.
Nurse Woods. Don't leave me.
I'm staying right here.
Oh.
We're gonna help get this fever down.
Oh.
Let me change this.
Please. Please.
There you go.
I see the light.
We're gonna get rid of this fever. Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Joe.
And we're Book Buds. Today we're talking about A Fall of Marigolds by Susan Meissner.
This book follows a scarf that has marigolds printed all over it for like 100 years. It connects two New York tragedies, one being the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire of 1911, and the other tragedy being 9/11.
So this marigold scarf we first see come into Ellis Island when Mr. Gwyn, who we were just doctoring in our little scene there, he comes to Ellis Island with scarlet fever. His wife just passed away on a boat and it was her scarf. And so he's wearing the scarf as he comes in and he's sick and he needs treatment. So the scarf changes hands a number of times. It ultimately ends up in the hands of a woman who enjoys fabrics. And the shop that she works in, there's a woman that wants to give her this scarf so that she can match the fabric. So she's delayed going to the towers to meet her husband for an announcement that he's going to be a father by having to stop and pick up this scarf from this woman. And because she's delayed in getting this scarf, she survives the tragic incidences on 9/11.
So one thing that I love about this book is how the author connected so much meaning to this scarf and how it just traveled with all these people who are experiencing extreme loss in a profound way. And it's almost like this scarf either like represents their loss and their grief, or it could help them through it.
Like it's there for them.
Like it's there for them. Like this book. I am so passionate about this book. I tell everybody to read this book. Even yesterday, somebody asked me for recommendations, and I mentioned this. This book touched me so much. I'm obsessed with, I don't even want to say this. No.
Suffering?
No, like, so like when I was younger, the story of the Titanic, it was like, I loved the story of the Titanic.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. Like, I just, you know what it is? I can't believe it happened. Like, I can't believe that these things happened. And obviously this book touches on 9/11, still can't even comprehend what happened that day. So like, I think it's kind of like, I guess it's like, what is it? Tell me what it is. It's like morbid curiosity? I don't know what it is.
So while you're drawn into the tragedy of these occurrences, I would prefer to look away and not see them. Even though I deal with so many traumatic things in my day-to-day life, I don't want to rehash really big significant ones. It's too painful for me. So when I was reading this book, Joe really wanted me to read this one. He's like, it's a great one. I was sobbing uncontrollably. There are multiple traumas here. You have not only...
Sorry, Mary.
It's okay.
I'm still dealing with this guilt.
There's a lot of guilt over it. It's
I do.
okay. You have Nurse Woods before she goes to Ellis Island. She witnesses the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. And she was supposed to be meeting this man that she was falling in love with, and yet she then sees him jump out the window to avoid burning to death, and he pulls another woman with him that was too frightened to jump herself, and she watched him fall to the ground. And when I was reading it, I didn't realize that this was an occurrence that actually happened in our history. So I was most comfortable when reading those parts of the book, because I'm like, okay, I'm in the fiction now, and I can read that without being totally devastated. But in fact, this was like their interpretation of real things that occurred in our history. So it was really terrible. So for her to deal with her grief, she left and locked herself in Ellis Island and never left, and just decided to be a nurse there, doing very difficult work with all these people with scarlet fever. And that's tragic, because then you have the man who's losing his wife to this illness and so many people dying. So it was another trauma. The hardest one for me was reading about 9/11, because I lived through that time and remember it very clearly. And so when I was reading those portions of the book, it involved a lot of tissues. And my husband looked at me and he said, "I'm glad you're enjoying your book."
I know. But getting back to Nurse Woods, like, she couldn't leave Ellis Island, right? Like, didn't, like, all the nurses were, like, gonna go into Manhattan to, like, have a good time, and, like, she couldn't go to Manhattan because she was traumatized.
Yeah, I liked that part of the story, to see how she was coping. She needed to stay there to try and cope, but it was really traumatic and she needed to change those behaviors. So it was nice to see the friend and the doctor that tried to help her break out of that, and her first trip on the ferry, how panicked she was really incredible. This was an incredibly well-written book. So even though I cried a whole lot, I still rate this book very highly, because it was just really well done. The story is beautiful.
Now, Susan Meissner, I love how she connects generations. She'll go from way in the past and connect it to people in present time or the future. And she I think that's her style, because I read a few of her books and she does that, and it's just, she does it like seamlessly, and it is just, it's amazing. I love the way that she does that.
Yeah, I mean, the parallels between these two historic traumas were so interesting. It was really nicely interwoven.
Now, I did read this a while ago. Mary, when she was discussing 9/11, was it graphic? No, right?
I could see it all in my mind again without a problem.
Did she describe things? Or
people
did
people jumping out of the building. Yeah, and
so she went into details.
The building's collapsing and the dust clouds coming, and then the main character was choking on the ash from the buildings falling, and she was trying to run and get away, but dealing with the fact that her husband most likely did not just make it out of that building, and he was there on that upper floor because she said, "Go here so I can tell you some important news." It was the same scenario that happened with the other main character. She was supposed to meet him on an upper floor as well.
So if this is too close to home, then certain people should not read this book. Like, I can think of a few friends of mine that probably should not read this book because of that. So this is unless it does your heart some good and helps you with healing some thoughts to revisit that day. Everybody's different, and I'm okay that I read it. Like, Joe feels really guilty that I cried so much. I'm okay, but it's heartache. It's a difficult part of our history. Now, Joe, you went and visited the actual site where this Triangle Shirtwaist Factory is. I did. Now, again, getting back to my fascination with this kind of thing, but this is kind of weird. I don't think I told you this. When I was reading this book, I was going to graduate school down at NYU by the Washington Square campus, down at Washington Square Park. So when I read about the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire, I kind of vaguely remember hearing about that. So I researched it and found out that it was, in fact, a real thing, a real event in our history, in New York City. And I just can't believe that the timing of this, it was right around the corner from where I was going to school.
Wow.
Like, I didn't even have to make a special trip. So I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, I have to try to find the actual location. And so the next time I went to class the following week, I had my GPS on my phone and I was just trying to search. And again, it was right there. But it wasn't too easy to find because, I was just looking for some sort of plaque or memorial or something to mark the spot. And I walked up and down this one street, and finally I'm looking up at the building and I'm searching, and I found the plaques.
That's cool.
I found the plaques, and I immediately took pictures and sent them to other friends.
And we've got a picture right here.
Yes, we're going to include that for you to see. Just to be there, it was kind of weird, and that fire changed a lot for labor laws in I think this country. At the factory, it was back in 1911, so all the women had large dresses on that were very flammable, and they locked the door to increase productivity so
Terrible.
that they wouldn't like take breaks. Everybody was smoking in there. They locked them in there, so a fire
You're trapped.
erupted and they were trapped. So very similarly to the recent tragedy, some of them had to jump out the window, and it was just horrific. So something good came out of it, that laws were put into place for workers, thank goodness. But so crazy. It's so and it's so sad that horrible things have to happen in order to get better, be better, or
Yeah. Just figure like I was going to school. That part of the story. Do you mind like doing it in a shorter version? Am I annoying?
No, I'm just trying to think. If you can hang on past Joe's long-winded story, Mary cries at the end, so keep watching.
So Joe, something that was really special for me at the end of the book was when the woman who experienced the 9/11 tragedy, she reunited with the florist that was helping her to get away when the towers were falling. And he had been someone that sent a text message to her husband. She had wanted him to know that he was going to be a father, that she was out safe, she wasn't in the building. And she didn't know if he received that message. 10 years had gone by, her child had grown, and this florist finds her and reconnects with her, and he's like, wait, I have to tell you something. And he had the scarf. He returned the scarf to her, and he said, I did receive a message back from your husband.
Oof.
And that I could cry right now.
It gets you right here.
I just had chills. Like, that was so meaningful for me as the reader, that her husband got her final message. It was beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah. So if you like what we're doing here on BookBuds,
Give us a thumbs up
and share us with your friends.
and subscribe to our channel, BookBuds. Please don't go. Where am I from?
Some other country.
Maybe I could get an accent. You don't remember where he's from?
Italian, maybe?
Do you know?
I don't remember.
Please don't go. Don't leave me, please. Come back.